Resumes. Do not confuse a resume and a curriculum vitae. A resume is a quick summary of what you've done, with just enough details to let a potential employer know the depth of your skills. A curriculum vitae is for employers who will want to know all about what you have studied, taught, written, researched, or exhibited. Prescriptions for a perfect resume. Do not be vague. Be sure to customize your resume for each employer. Do not be long-winded. Students and recent grads, put your education up top and include relevant courses. Find out which skills the employer is seeking and be sure to showcase them. Be clear about what you want. Use verb phrases. If you are short on actual job experience, include highlights or skills summary section to editorialize about yourself a little. Use updates to show when you did things. Never overlook spelling errors or typos. For new graduates without much work experience, have an experience section rather than one called employment, because you can include internships, class projects, independent study under the former but not the latter. Tailor the objective to a given position or leave it out altogether. Objectives are helpful when you are trying to show the relationship between your skills and a particular position, but they say things like seeking a challenging position to suit my education and skill. This is too vague. What position? What skill? Be specific. Common resume blunders. To focus on job duties. To create a resume that is cut above the rest, go beyond showing what was required of you and demonstrate how you made a difference at each company. Provide specific examples of how the company benefited from your performance. Objective statement that is flowery or too general. The worst objective statement starts with a challenging position that would enable you to contribute to organizational goals while offering an opportunity for growth and achievement. This statement is too general. Too short or too long. The use of pronouns I and me in the articles and the. A resume is a form of business communication which should be concise and written in a typographical style. There should not be any mention of I or me, and only minimal use of articles. List personal and irrelevant information. Use a functional resume when there is a good career history. One of the pet peeves cited by hiring managers is a candidate who describes his or her skills and achievement but doesn't connect them with a particular job. Not include a summary or profile section that makes an initial hard shell. The summary should demonstrate the skill level and experience directly related to the position being sought. Where are the keywords? A good way to determine a keyword is to read job description for positions that interest you. If you see industrial buzzwords, incorporate them into your resume. Reference available. Employers know that if you are seeking for a job, you should have professional references. So this statement mainly wastes space. Use it only as a graphical element to signal the end of a long resume or to round out the page design. Typos. One typo can land your resume into the garbage. Proofread, proofread, proofread. Show your resume to several friends to have them proofread it as well. This document is a reflection of you and should be absolutely perfect. 10 points. 10 resumes don't. Appearance count. Do not try to save money by printing your resume on cheap copy paper instead of good quality stuff. Check for typos, grammatical errors, and any type of stains or smudges. Does size matter? If your career wants a two-page resume, then go ahead, create a document that reflects the full range of your experience and accomplishment. Do not reduce the type size to such a degree that your resume becomes difficult to read. Truth and consequences. Do not fudge out dates or titles on your resume to hide the fact that you have been unemployed, that you switched jobs too frequently, or that you held low-level position. State your case. If you are seeking a job in a field in which you have no prior experience, do not use the chronological format for your resume. By using a functional or skill-oriented format, you can present your relevant experience and skills up front and put your best foot forward. Do not simply copy the job description jargon from your company's human resource or personnel manual. No excuses. Do not include the reason you are no longer working at each job listed on your resume. What have you done lately? Personnel manager are most interested in your experience from the past 10 years. So focus on your most recent, most relevant career experience. Target your audience. Read the ads. Determine if you have the right credentials and save the wear and tear on your printer. Don't include extra paper, please. When you send out your resume, do not include copies of transcript, letters of recommendation, or awards unless you are specifically asked to do so. And do not get personal. Personal information does not belong on a resume. Gaps in history. Many people have gaps in their work history. If you have a legitimate reason for major gaps, such as going to school or having a child, you can simply state this on your resume. Being out of work. If you are currently out of work, other alternatives are to write the actual months that you left your last job, or write in some interim activities such as being self-employed. Even if that means that you are working at a temporary agency or doing odd jobs, it may be better than being deceitful. Remember that many employers have experience being out of work themselves and may have more understanding of your situation than you realize. Being fired and other negatives in your work history, there is no reason for a resume to include any details related to why you have left your previous jobs, unless, of course, they are positive. For example, leaving to accept a more responsible job is to your credit. Not sure of job objective? A job objective on your resume is highly desirable but not required. If you really can't settle on a long-term job objective, consider on setting on a short-term one and use that on your resume. Overqualified. If you are willing to accept jobs where you have been defined as overqualified, consider not including some of your educational or work-related credentials on your resume. Be prepared to explain in the interview why you do not want this particular job. Why you do want this particular job, and how your wealth of experience is positive and not a negative. Too young? Young people need to present their youth as an advantage rather than a disadvantage. Consider what aspects of your youth might have been as advantages. For example, you are willing to work for less money, accept less desirable tasks, work longer or less convenient hours, or do other things that a more experienced worker might not. Use a skill resume. Now, here's the reason for using a skill resume. Use this type of resume when your previous work experience is in jobs that do not relate to what you want to do next. You have recently graduated and are competing against those with similar levels of education and more work experience. Emphasize your recent education or training. The advantage of a skilled resume is that it allows you to emphasize those transferable skills that you have developed and used in other settings. Now, here's an example of a resume. If you notice here, there's an objective and there's a quick summary. Now, on this page right here, we have the employment history, and after each one we have a little bullet giving more description. Notice the responsibility for each of those employment, and notice the bullets. And then on the last page we have additional information dealing with education, and if you notice, there's also continuing education listed on this resume. Thank you for participating in this workshop. We hope you found this information useful. Please complete and return in the academic enrichment summary. If you're viewing this workshop via the internet, please come by the Student Support Service office to complete an academic enrichment summary, or you may click on the link in the directions box on the workshop page and print one out or an email to dwalker@wallace.edu so that we may document your presentation, your participation. Thank you.